Did you know that we used to eat these all the time when I was growing up? But I never knew they were called pierogies until I was like 18-ish.
What did you call them?
We always called them pitahus. I don't know. I think my great-grandmother started it, and then that's just what we called
them. Did someone say, like, oh, you want pierogies? You're like, oh, no thanks.
I had to try to figure out what pierogi... it still feels weird for me to say pierogies. Pitahus.
Wait, what?
Pitahus.
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 Oh, I thought it was pitahs at first. Pitahus.
Pitahus.
I've never heard of a pitahus.
Welcome back to Chopper Test Kitchen, our first episode of 2020. We're bringing you pitahus, or pierogies, or pitahus, I think, as Lindsay was saying in the video. I'm not exactly sure. Whatever you call it, dough stuffed with mashed potatoes. It's delicious. Here we go. First up, we need to make our dough. So we're going to start with 4 cups of flour, half a teaspoon of salt, and then we're going to mix 2 eggs into 1 cup of water and slowly drizzle that into our dry ingredients, mixing it up with a fork until everything's incorporated. Then we're going to turn that out onto our cutting board and knead until we get a nice soft, smooth dough. Set that aside and cover it with some plastic wrap and let that rest for about 10 or 15 minutes. Once our dough's done resting, we're going to cut that in half and then roll it out. I don't know what thickness we're going for here, but just roll it out until it feels right. And then you can use either a ring mold or just a regular old pint glass like I'm using here to punch out your little pierogi pieces. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to do that with the entire dough. Repeat with the second half, and then we're ready to make our filling. Now, the filling for these is basically mashed potatoes. I guess you can make those however you want. I'm going to show you the way that I like to do it. So we're going to start with 3 pounds of russet potatoes. Now, for those of you keeping score at home, this made a ton of filling. I mean, I was eating mashed potatoes for days after this. So if you want to follow along with this and try to make it yourself, I would suggest cutting this recipe probably in half. But anyway, 3 pounds of potatoes that we're going to peel and cube and throw in our pot. And then I like to cook these in a mixture of milk and heavy cream. So we're just going to cover all those potatoes, bring this over to the stove and get it up to a boil. Cook those until they're fork tender. Then we're going to bring them back over to the cutting board and put them through our ricer. Make sure to save that liquid that the potatoes were cooking in, because after we season this with some salt, pepper, add in a few knobs of butter, we're going to add back some of our liquid and give that a good mix until it looks like, well, mashed potatoes. A few extra ingredients here. We're going to add 8 ounces of ricotta cheese and then a bunch of caramelized white onions. Fold that all together, and then it's time to fill these guys up. Basically the same process as our dumplings from the Chinese food episode. We're just going to fill these guys up with about a tablespoon of filling and then crimp the edges to get them sealed. But what dish isn't improved by adding bacon and cheese? So that's what I'm going to do to a little bit of our filling. I'm going to add in some cooked bacon, a little cheddar cheese, give that a good mix, and then fill up a second round of pierogies with these. Then these guys are going to get dunked in some boiling water until they float. Then we're going to put them in a frying pan with a little bit of butter until they get nice and crispy. Top them with some caramelized onions, and then it's time to eat.
Well, folks, it's time to kick it old school. So you can feel cool. Give it to me, baby. Baby. Yeah.
So here we are, back again for the judgment phase. We have Lindsay from Chopper Test Kitchen. 2G, You know him well from Oscar Mike.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Greg.
Erin, our harshest critic, she actually retired after last episode because she said it just couldn't get any better.
She looks great.
She does.
So thin.
She's glowing. We'll start with Lindsay. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So I haven't had a real homemade pierogi in quite some time. The only ones I've had are frozen. I actually liked the non-bacon one better. I don't know. I thought it was more what I'm used. I guess I don't eat the like flavored ones. I just get the regular ones. They're a little tough to cut through. Normally I can just cut it with a fork. I don't know what the difference was. Did you make the dough?
Yes, of course I made the dough. Watch the video.
No cutting corners.
That was another thing. And then normally I eat it with kielbasa. I don't know how you say it. So that was a little disappointing. Well, that's just how I've always had pierogies. I've never had them without. So I won't factor that in, I guess. The pierogies themselves, I'll give them a 4.25.
With all that build-up, I wasn't expecting that.
Okay.
I, like Lindsay, have not had a homemade pierogi in quite some time. I'm used to boiling some Mrs. T's pierogies, coming out of the boiling water being soggy. Unlike my associate here, I enjoyed that they were grilled on the outside, making it a little tougher. So I like that, the crunchiness of it. I personally was a bigger fan of the ones with the bacon, because bacon.
That's the correct answer.
As I cut it open, the smokiness of the bacon hit me. Loved it. It brought me back to a time where a good friend of mine I grew up with, who is Ukrainian and Polish, his grandmother used to make them all the time. And this brought me back. Baba Lusician. Just awesome. I love the onions on top. I didn't know if there was going to be something accompanying them. Filling was great. Can't have enough butter on them. Loved that. I'm going to say 4.59 is my score. Was a big fan. Loved them. I will be requesting Chopper Test Kitchen to make them again. Just for me. No one else. Soon. Sucks to be you, Aaron.
So there we go. Pierogies, pitahus are done. I don't know what the average score is, but it'll be somewhere
Why don't you know?
in this area. Haven't done the math yet. Thank you. Thank you, I guess, to Lindsay for being camera person, and thank you to Lindsay for doing whatever it is that she does. Thank you to 2G. Of course, you can check him out on Oscar Mike every Thursday, wherever you download your podcasts. Subscribe, download, leave a 5-star review, listen to Now Boarding Radio. Also, wherever you get podcasts, comes out every Monday with Jimmy, Dan, maybe Moody. We'll see how long he lasts this year. And thank you for watching. If you're not already subscribed, we appreciate you hitting the subscribe button. Like, leave a comment. We'll see you guys next time.